The title of the hearing is Mainstreaming Extremism. How did we get here, and how can we fix it? To answer those questions, we need to take a deep look at online platforms which are an increasingly great part of our daily lives. Mr. Kendall, while you were with Facebook and Pinterest, did people within the company discuss the potential harms that a new product or feature could pose to users or to society? Were there times that the company chose to release the product or feature designed despite the potential harm that it could cause?
This was primarily an issue at Facebook, much less of an issue at Pinterest. I would say at Facebook, the primary discussion around harm was revolved around privacy, right? User privacy, and we raised concerns about that in many instances of new product releases. I would say the MO of the company was that oftentimes those concerns were ignored. What superseded that was a view that, look, more features that connect more people is good for the network and good for the world.
Well, let me ask you another question on that line. I assume that Facebook considered legal liability risks when deciding how and whether to launch a new product. In your experience, was a product's ability to facilitate extremism, racism, or violence considered in that legal risk assessment?
It was considered, but then heavily discounted. I think that the timeline of the FTC imposing threats against Facebook and then those being ignored for years and years and years and years until really last year when there was a $5 billion fine, I think highlights the pattern, which is that they don't respond to constraints, they don't respond to threats. Where they appear to respond, and I think privacy is a good path to look at, is when there are real economic costs to the business.
See, thank you. Ms. Dumpson, I just want to thank you for the personal testimony and the personal pain that it must bring you even today to repeat that. I want to see if you could tell a little more about what the online attacks meant for your life. And in your written testimony, you talk about how it changed the changes that you have had to make. I wonder, how did you deal with going to classes and to participate in normal activities, or didn't you?
Thank you, Congresswoman. When the hate crime initially happened in May 2017, it happened during finals week. So I missed my final exams. I was forced to drop my minor in sociology as the material that I was reading in class was very, very triggering for my own PTSD that I was learning and trying to figure out how to cope with. I had to take classes incomplete. I incurred a number of expenses because I was I was taking a car instead of walking or getting on a bus. As the bananas were hung from bus stops, I had to install security cameras at my home. I had to travel to an undisclosed location, even when we filed the lawsuit, and have specifically had to decrease my social media usage. And so, to the point about the answer to hate speech is more speech, it actually is that's a faulty notion, because it assumes that more speech is actually going to be more counter speech and not more hate speech. And what I've experienced is that as a millennial, I had to completely decrease and almost halt my social media usage in the way that I communicate with my friends, the way I communicate with my family, because I am at risk for doxing continuously, because unfortunately, like other people who experience this kind of harassment, once your information is out there, it never goes away.
That is painful to hear. And I thank you, and I yield back.